Well, I mean, most of you guys here know Justin and Nicole better than what we all do. But for my guys that are on, there's a few of us. Justin and Nicole, I'm going to switch to my Windows. You won't see it, just so I don't miss Justin's information, because he's actually really qualified to talk to us tonight. And from the business side with ASEA, Justin and Nicole came into ASEA with no experience at all and created an amazing business in a really short period of time. And they're very, very impressive individuals. So I'm going to read you Justin's bio, because we connected about a month ago when the corporate events were on, and I thought it'd be really nice to hear from Justin about the product because of his past experience and the things that he's accomplished. So I'm going to read this, so it will sound like I'm reading it. So Justin has always had a passion for helping people through healthcare. He's worked in emergency medicine as a paramedic and complementary medicine, massage, nutrition, kinesiology, traditional Chinese medicine. He's managed and owned natural medicine clinics and health food shops. He's passionate about creating optimum health, a need arising out of addressing his own significant health challenges. So while he's always been on the lookout for the best health products available, Justin was introduced to ASEA, and he experienced a breakthrough in his health like many of us have since we all saw ASEA, which led to an interest in looking at ASEA as a business. So Justin and Nicole together were at the forefront of opening ASEA in the Australian and New Zealand markets, and they were the first people to reach the level of Triple Diamond. If you don't know what that means, it doesn't matter. It's good. It's very good. They'll tell you it's good. I don't know yet, but they do. Achieving this rank in 19 months, and I thought it was 24 months. It's 19 months with no experience, which is extraordinary. So in their spare time, Justin and Nicole love water skiing. They enjoy life on the beautiful beaches of Bribie Island, which is not far from me. And they spend time with their tribe of toy poodles and their new Zoom baby, Joy. I've met Joy on Zooms. So Justin, it's not finished. They believe anything is possible when you stay committed to the vision you want to create for yourself and others. And that's really, really important. So I've got some questions I'm going to ask Justin. We're not going to open it up. So it's going to be really information that is handy for a lot of people, and it'll be very compliant. So there is a tendency when talking about ASEA to go off into the Netherlands, and we have to be really careful because we want to protect the technology and the company into the future. It has a long way to go, and we together are the pioneers and the protectors of this, and it is extraordinary. If you've only just discovered it, it will blow your mind. So, Justin, how are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you, Robyn. What an intro. Hey, don't forget to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Oh, who am I? Okay, my name's Robyn Nelson. I'm a bronze executive with ASEA. I have a baby business. I've got about 20-something years experience. I started while I was in the womb. No, I'm kidding. I started in my early 20s and...
in the industry?
Sorry?
In the network marketing industry?
In network marketing. And I've got a background prior to that in managing restaurants. So I was a manager of lots of McDonald's restaurants. So I oversaw a whole bunch of them. And I've built 3 businesses. This will be the 3rd one. So I built 2. I sold my last organisation because the company structure altered. They actually completely went away from their product that I fell in love with and changed it. So what drew me to ASEA was the stability, the product, obviously, the fact that you can't get it anywhere else. And this is going to be the next billion-dollar company, and there's not many of them. So, yes, I'm not as qualified to talk to you as Justin and Nicole. So.
I don't know. You've got a wealth of experience. You know, I'm a newbie on the block, so no, it's great to connect.
We will be talking to Robyn next week about the business side as well.
Yeah.
We certainly will be. Same time, same channel next week. So next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Queensland time, we'll have to expand a little bit more on the wealth of Robyn's experience and what she can see as the vision for ASEA. So, yes, Robyn, let me help with helping to understand the product side of ASEA. Fire away. How can I help you?
Okay, we have, I guess, the things that come up with people that I meet every day and the new associates and existing associates that have been around for a while, they're things that maybe are basic, but they're not talked about very often. So the first thing I wanted to ask you, Justin, was what was it that piqued your interest to look at the redox products? and what encouraged you to go out and actually start sharing it with people?
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Robyn. So I would say, one, I trusted the person that recommended it to me. They knew I was into health, and I did have a long health challenge, 19 years of a multi-systemic bacterial infection, which in the end was nearly killing me about 4 years ago. And like you said, I had a long career in natural medicine and a jack of all trades, emergency medicine and, personal training, a whole lot of stuff, but never really felt right. I wasn't too bad. I was in pretty good shape when I was introduced to this, but I was under a huge amount of stress. And I took it because I trusted the people that suggested it to me. But very quickly, we saw results unlike anything I'd ever seen. So that piqued my interest. I knew when they introduced it to me, I'd never heard of redox signaling molecules like most of us here on the call. And I knew that was different. And I understood that was a new category of health science, a whole new category of health product. At the time, I had close to $120,000 worth of product in my shop and my clinic. So I knew a bit about health products, but this was completely different. And to see a change around, Nicole had a fatigue issue for 25 years, which we had tried a lot of different things for. And we were spending $600 to $700 worth of wholesale product out of my clinic and shop a month, just to keep her keep managing her, and seeing some of the best practitioners that we'd been able to find in 20 years. And literally 3 weeks after using just 60 mils morning and night of the liquid redox product, that fatigue issue disappeared. And that caught my attention like a sledgehammer. I knew that this stuff was very different and creates a very different response in the body. So I kind of had to look at it. I was obliged to look at that. That's how I first got involved. And then the second part of that question, you talked about why I decided to share it, right? Mm-hmm. So that was back in September 2011, and we weren't, ASEA wasn't operational in Australia at that point. And I had a couple of other case studies that I don't use the words lightly, but prior to my experience with redox, I would have said they were medical miracles. I wouldn't have believed that these two people had the results they did. One was an extreme nerve pain issue. She'd been on very heavy pain meds for 10 years after a very traumatic ankle injury where she pretty much tore the ankle off, full reconstruction. And she was a very clever lady, and her husband was very clever. He'd been heavily involved with the pharmaceutical industry for a long time. But at this point, that had a revolution in their lives and turned to the light side, turned away from the dark side. They were yogis and into heaps of raw food and natural medicine. And she was able to get off the pain meds literally in a few weeks for the first time in years. And that was another one where I was just like, wow, like I was just not going to expect that. But these guys had some experience in the network marketing industry. And they, at the time, said to me, look, you really should check this out for yourself. And they encouraged me so much that the four of us went overseas and met the founders of ASEA. And while I was wowed by the science and the technology and the results what people were getting, I was equally wowed by the founders and the corporate executive team and how they treated us and how they welcomed us and appreciated us going all the way to learn about this technology, and gently let us down and said, sorry, you can't operate in Australia until Australia's open, which ended up being a couple of years. So, it's an amazing technology. It got results unlike anything else I've ever seen, and it's a phenomenal company. So that's what piqued my interest, kept my interest, and really I wanted to share it.
That's fantastic. I'm going to really stay on script with my questions, because what you answered gives me so many other places I can go. So, and I'm really naturally nosy, so there's so many things I could ask you. But the next question is, and I really am interested to hear this one myself, what is healing and what does the body need for that to happen?
Okay, great. So even the word health comes from heal, the word heal. Healing to me, I'm sure you'll get different answers from different people, but my philosophy, my experience with healing is kind of like life's way of expressing itself. And in order to express itself, it needs to be able to communicate. And, at the most fundamental level, all healing relies on the ability to communicate what are the issues. What are the problems that are arising, detecting problems, being able to protect from problems, being able to repair, and being able to replace cells. And so any cellular life form, in order to communicate those needs and those wants, it needs a system of communication. And that's what redox signaling molecules are. At a molecular level, they are literally how our cells talk. So everything the cells need to do, they do it through redox signaling molecules. So when our cells need instructions from the DNA, it uses redox molecules to read the DNA and to instruct the cell how to repair itself. So that's kind of pretty critical, right? And that's the technology we're dealing with ASEA. And there's nothing else like that on the planet. When you look at all the other types of complementary health and wellness, there's nothing that gets to that fundamental communication system of helping the cells express themselves. And so we're healing all the time. We're constantly healing. And the more redox we have, the better we can do that.
Okay, so would it be, I've watched Gary Samuelson's talk at Autism one. I'm going off script, look at me. Nicole's probably going. But he says in there on one of his slides that it has the ability to reverse cellular aging. Is that part of the redox because we've got more, our cells can just function optimally and help our body repair quicker? Is that all part of it?
I think where he's coming from that, and I've had a few conversations with Gary, and bless him, he's an amazing soul. He really is an amazing man. We wouldn't be here today without his work. He talked to me a bit about some of the ways that we measure anti-aging, and I've used telomere technology and stem cell therapy, nutritional therapy in integrated medical clinics and so forth for anti-aging. But redox, as we age, our ability to make redox greatly diminishes. So if we just had another source of redox and our cells had the same amount of redox that they would have, except, we're 20 years older, it can communicate better and that cell operates like we're younger. So if that's not anti-aging, I don't know what is.
That makes sense. That makes sense. It's fascinating to me. So now I'll go back to the script. Okay, this is a really good one though. What are the most common things that you see when someone starts using the redox molecule? So from a healthy person all the way through to an unhealthy person.
Yeah, sure. Well, look, I think one of the great blessings with redox as well is because it's so native to the body. It's just that the way we normally heal that you rarely see massive healing crises and things like that. That usually does happen with other forms of medicine, even nutritional cleanses and, sometimes homeopathy, you get quite large reactions, and acupuncture you certainly do. But with the redox technology, I find it's usually quite subtle, and, the healing usually isn't as traumatic it's not traumatic, but, usually the healing journey for people that have some big challenges is some serious ups and downs. Sure, sometimes we see that with the redox, but we don't see it as much the vast majority of time. So most people might feel a little bit tighter than usual. Most people might feel like occasionally they feel a bit funny in the tummy. They might get the runs a little bit, but it's tiny, the amount of percentage of people that do that. But some people may get some headaches for a few days or something like that. I think it's really important to make sure you drink more water when you increase your redox. Like, that's critical. You've got to be flushing out. And usually I find anyone that does have a real challenge when they start taking the redox and they have a major response, and remember, there's no adverse reaction with this technology. All there is a detoxification, which is a healing response, and or an immune response. So if their immune system's having some challenges, whether it's under attack from a virus or bacteria, or it may be a bit confused, they might be suffering from sensitivity or autoimmune or things like that. Well, there might be some adjustment there. But if they have a problem detoxifying, then you can sometimes see a problem. And so it's really good to open up the detoxification channel. So that means sweating, it means breathing, it means having the right nutrients for your liver to work, make sure your bowel works, having enough water to flush that through. But if a person's detox channels are open, generally there's not a huge like healing crisis or anything like that. There's a bit of a transition, but for most people, they just sleep longer for the first week or something. So it's pretty cool like that.
Yeah, because it's proven to be safe, isn't it, in the studies?
It's actually proven to be 100% non-toxic. So that's a term that I can't apply to any other technology I know of at any dosage, of the substance. So that's pretty amazing. Completely non-toxic, 100% safe, no contraindications to any medication. Now, that doesn't mean if a person has a serious health challenge that they shouldn't be careful, because, as they regain health, as they move towards balance, they're going to have some adjustments. Their body's going to need to change. Some of the bigger ones, you need to be careful with sodium for people that are hypersensitive with kidney, heart, blood pressure issues. I would always suggest slow and build up over time. But yeah, even seriously challenged people that are on the most hardcore of drugs, if they use some common sense and get some help from the pharmaceutical perspective, they need to have a good practitioner, good doctors that can help them deal with that. We're never telling anyone to go off medication, but usually the redox will make the medication more potent and more effective. And as their body balances and heals, many cases we see where they don't need the medication like they used to. So their dosage of medication needs to be brought down as their redox is going up and as their body's able to heal and cleanse. And, that is a process that really should have some supervision from a healthcare professional, and maybe a couple. You may need more of a natural medicine professional and a Western medicine professional. But yeah, in terms of having a radical shift in health compared to any other kind of technology out there, I see ASEA as super safe, and that's one of the great things about it that attracted me to it.
Yeah, me too. We could go anywhere, couldn't we? Okay, so this question is like the king of all questions. How much redox can people use?
Okay, I like that question, because you said can use. So yes. They can use it, it comes down to budget more than anything, right? So if you had said should use, that's a lot more limitation, right? But like I said, the standard dose, like for the Renew, you're looking at about 2 tubes a month minimum, right? When you're looking for the redox the actual redox technology, then look at the 60 mils twice a day at a minimum. Right. So then if a person has a minor health challenge, you might double that. If a person has a major health challenge, you might quadruple the base dose. Okay. And I know of people who have doubled that again, right? Have had 8 times the normal dose. So, but if they are seriously health compromised, I would suggest that you take that up slowly. Okay, so you may start on the 60 mils twice a day with the liquid and a couple of the tubes of gel, and then maybe over the course of 4 to 5 days add another 60 mils. And smaller doses more regularly is actually more powerful.
Okay.
So that's a relatively recent kind of agreement by the ASEA medical professionals, because that's going to really maximize the antioxidant activation part of it, which is the protecting the cells part of it and detoxing the cells part of it. Yeah. So how much can they use? I know of people that drink a bottle a day.
Yeah, I've met a couple of people that drink a bottle a day. So I've got another question, but I think we should just stick with the questions we've written, because we you don't know where it's going to go when I just ask a random question. I've done that before. I've had experience. So we've got probably 10 minutes to go. And I've run out of questions that are actually scripted. So this is now just me in the raw. If I'm trying to think of what new people ask me the most and what I get presented with by new associates the most. And the big one that I think comes up is why, if they can only choose one and somebody's, say, reasonably healthy, but they might be, I don't know, I don't know what issues, I can't even imagine the issues, but they're reasonably healthy, why would you use Renew as opposed to ASEA? Why would you use ASEA as opposed to Renew? If it's one or the other,
Okay.
what would be the circumstances for each if one exclusively?
Yeah, great question. Okay, so we do see that sometimes the two different products have a different result. You want to kind of get the redox molecules as close to the problem area as you can. The body will transport them, but if the body has more needs, it'll use them closer to where you put them in. Right? So whether you put them in here, you put them in there, you put them on the skin, like however you put them in, if you want to put it in as close to the problem area as you can. So I also find that sometimes going through the skin is actually a better way to do it. Particularly people that have problems with detoxification and so forth, putting the gel on areas where they can still cleanse, they can still help the detox their body, but without major reactions, internal reactions can be really good. So I think that's where the Americans kind of really underestimated the power of Renew 28. Like they really did. It took them a long time to really catch on what Nicole and I were teaching people, and just how good the gel is. So play around with it. If you're not getting the result with, like, ideally both is best, right? But if you're not getting the result with one, try the other. Sometimes, for example, digestive disorders, they react really well. They respond really well with the Renew 28. But then I've had some people with this almost the same condition actually react much better or respond better with the liquid. So it's funny like that. But get the redox as close to the problem area as you can is good advice.
Okay, so everybody's biochemistry is unique to a point. So we can only give them a general indication and then go from there based on how they feel and what they see.
Yeah, that's right. And I never make promises around this stuff. And you don't want to make promises. One, it's illegal. And two, you don't want to, over-promise and under-deliver. So do the opposite. Under-promise and over-deliver, and give them good customer service and monitor them and help them ask questions. And if you don't know, there's a wealth of information out there to go and find out. So just help nurse people through when they're taking the product for the first time. Make sure that they're drinking plenty of water as well. And just play around with it. They might need a lot more than you expect. I've had healthy people, like, 45-year-old people that I'd consider to be very healthy, need a lot more than I expected, need 90 mils 3 times a day. And for them, it took that amount for the light bulb to go on. All of a sudden, they had a lot of mental clarity, where at 60 mils twice a day, it wasn't doing that. And I don't know why that is, but for that body, and and that particular, she's a healthcare professional, I considered her to be very healthy, but she needed a lot more. So it is important to experiment.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed interviewing you, and I know that we'll be talking again in the near future, and I'll be on next week.
I think you had one more question for me, actually, Robyn, just before you wrap up.
Yeah.
If you want it. I was told there was another question.
Tell me anything. I just don't want to go too far away from our intention.
I think one of the questions that initially was proposed was with my experience and the success that we've seen and talking to people in a way that we haven't before, what's the number one piece of advice for helping people get started? And I would say keep it simple. Like, everyone gets fascinated with the science, and it is fascinating, but just keep it simple. If people say, will it help with? You can always answer by, does it involve cells? Right? Just keep it right back to basics. If it involves any form of cellular life form, redox helps. And that's completely compliant, it's completely legal, you're not making any claims, and it's the truth. So, what you said before at the beginning of the call is I just want to reiterate, we are the custodians of this technology. Our founders turned down a huge amount of money and designed this business to put the technology in our hands. And it really, what happens with redox in the world is up to us. And so we do need to learn how to talk about it, to keep it safe, not to overpromise, not to make claims, and to empower people to do it. And do that through stories. Do that through, sharing stories that people have had using the technology, rather than trying to become a redox biochemist.
I did that for 2 years.
Exactly. Don't do that. Just encourage people to try and experiment with it, and let them know that there are some great videos and so forth that really credible people are saying this stuff works, but they don't need to know how it works.
And it's interesting you say that, Justin, because next week there's a training that I do, and I'll touch on it next week, and it actually goes into that sort of thing, because for me, I saw this, was totally blown away because I got rid of my wrinkles in 10 days. That's it. I didn't know anything else. And I went down the rabbit hole. And what I could have done with this in the 2 years that I was busy watching videos and deciding how much I knew about redox molecules, I wasted a lot of time. And it wasn't wasted because I learned, but I didn't need to know all of that. So I really appreciate you saying that, especially for the sake of not just all the other guys in your team, but the ones that are here that haven't met you before from my team, because they have seen me do that research, and I'm crazy. But I spent 2 years doing that, and look at what you did in 19 months.
You said 19 months. I thought it was 18 months when we were Triple Diamond. I'm disappointed.
You shouldn't be disappointed.
I check those statistics, right? But it is, as you say, you want to keep it simple. And I got too complex as well. And now I'm trying to simplify it, take it back to basics. And at the end of the day, I tried the product because I trusted someone.
Yep, that's a great point.
And we didn't know what a redox molecule was when we started drinking it.
No, we didn't.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, both of you, Nicole, for being here and organising everything. And without you, it probably wouldn't have happened because I'm not the most organised person. And Justin, for sharing your knowledge, because I know we've just scratched the surface. But I'm really, really honoured that you agreed to do this, because I haven't heard much from you guys, but I've really appreciated seeing you over the years and meeting you at conferences. And just the little snippets that you have shared that I've seen, I've learned a lot. So with that, I think we're done. Thank you very much, and we'll see everybody next week.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone, for coming on the call and being interested enough, and, encourage you to go out there and make a positive difference and introduce ASEA to someone today. We're going to change the world, guys. It's a pretty amazing mission we're on.
We are.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye-bye.
Bye.